Peace. May you always be as beautiful as this rose. So, right, here we have 3.5 cups of flour sieved into a bowl. I've got 2 bowls here, so I can show you a variation, so you understand that this is just the easiest thing in the world. Now, I'm going to do 1 coffee and sultana cake and 1 vanilla cake, which is versatile. You can then put any range of icings or fillings onto it. And I'm going to do a standard sort of easy cake that if you really need to serve a lot of people, and you'll do it that way. So here, into this cake, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of caster sugar and a very generous cup dark brown sugar. I can't, so I'm going to put in a very generous cup. Now, of course, the dark brown sugar is going to color the cake a bit, and so this is going to be for my coffee cake. And this cake here is going to be the plain vanilla cake. So for that, I'm just going to use a caster sugar so that there's no coloration in the cake. The caster sugar is more dense, so I'll make a level cup and then a 3/4 cup. That's going to be perfectly sweet enough. Now, what I've done in advance is I've buttered these trays. What I tend to do is to keep these butter wrappers and then butter my tray with an old butter wrapper, because there's always plenty of butter left on the wrapper. I do add a little bit of extra bicarb. Bicarb's going to make your cake a little bit yellower. So say, for example, it's just because we've got no egg in these cakes. They're pure vegetarian cakes. So by adding a little bit of bicarb, which I should have sifted in with the flour but didn't, but it's fine, I'll give it a good mix in now. That's just going to give it a little bit of extra lightness. And then in the vanilla cake, I really can't use too much bicarb because it'll make it a peculiar color, sort of too yellow. So I'm going to only add half a teaspoon of bicarb, and I'm going to add another little bit, a teaspoon or so of baking powder. Now, when it comes to making the chocolate cake, which is the one that everyone loves, replace half a cup of flour with half a cup of cocoa and add a generous teaspoon of bicarb and an extra teaspoon of baking powder so that the cake rises well. If you're using an ordinary cake flour, then of course 1 cup of flour needs 1 cup of baking powder to make it rise. And normally, if you read ingredients on flour, you're going to see that they always, as raising agents, put both bicarb and baking powder, but less bicarbonate of soda. So here you've got your mixtures. Give them a good, get them quite well mixed. I always use wire whisks. You don't need a machine. These are the simplest cakes in the world. So you're mixing in your sugar, making sure all your ingredients are well mixed in. Now you start on your wet ingredients. Now you've got a choice. You can use melted butter, melted margarine, coconut oil melted, or vegetable oil. In this case, I'm using a sunflower oil, and I am going to I'm going to use that in the coffee cake, and I'm going to use a melted margarine in the vanilla cake. So I'm going to add 1 cup of oil, and to the vanilla I'm going to add 1 cup of melted margarine. Now, a milk of your choice. Add 1 cup of milk. And to the vanilla cake, add vanilla essence. I just use a cap. That seems to work perfectly well. Now, if you read wartime cookery books when they were short of eggs, they added vinegar as a substitute for eggs. It does help as an agent for the cake to rise. So add 2 tablespoons of vinegar. I'm using apple cider vinegar. I tend to use, for the chocolate cakes, I like to use either a balsamic vinegar or a berry flavored balsamic vinegar. It makes quite a lot of difference. Vanilla cake, I'm adding a cup of boiling water, and to the coffee cake I'm going to add a cup of quite strong coffee. So definitely a couple of teaspoons of coffee powder, and then your boiling water. So that maybe needs just a little bit of a stir. And to the coffee cake, I'm going to add these beautiful sultanas. These are from India. They were the best sultanas I've ever tasted. And they're absolutely delicious, and the sultanas go very well with the coffee. And then it's just really a question of an easy mix. You can see how really simple it is. Of course, now the most important thing is your consciousness. Are you connected? Have you wired yourself correctly? Are you connected to the ultimate source? Are the vibrations that are going into this absolutely pure, peaceful, loving? Those actually are your most essential ingredients in anything that you cook. And by the way, if you don't have a whisk and you just have a fork and you only have 1 pan, just make this cake in 1 pan. Okay, I'm going to mix the coffee cake now. And it's going to have a good color because it's got the brown sugar in it. And also the brown sugar gives it the most fantastic flavor. So all good here. Now you can see it's behaving quite differently here. It's the because we've got bicarb in, and the sugar is different. So I'm going to add just a little bit more milk. I can see it just needs a slight bit more milk. You really have to play it by ear and see what your cake needs. But you can see the consistency. It doesn't need a lot of mixing. Please don't mix it a lot because you'll start to interfere with the gluten. And so when it actually comes to baking, it really won't work as well. So it's really very little mixing. So now everything's perfectly mixed in. Now what I'm wanting to do here is make a number of small cakes. These little pans are absolutely fantastic. I'm going to use these 4 of these very nice little pans. This is going to make a small cake, a delicate cake, one that has to be iced, and it's high. So it's It's great for a birthday party, a special occasion. And this will make quite a number of cakes. So we need to smooth that in to the tray. And actually, this amount of mixture is generous. So it's going to allow you to make a variety of cakes. I'm now going to use these deeper pans and make a few deeper cakes. These little cakes only take 10 minutes to bake. So if you're in a hurry and you've got the fortune of having a few of these little pans, you can really knock up a cake in a few minutes. Within half an hour, you'll have a great cake. So now, just to show you something a little bit different. Here, we have a little bit of vanilla cake. I'm a little bit short of ingredient here. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to steal a little bit of this. I'm going to put a little bit of coffee cake in. I'm going to get a fork or end of a spoon, and I'm going to, not lifting it, but I'm going to make a little bit of a marble cake. And so here we'll have a mixture of vanilla and coffee cake. I'm going to make a large cake here, needing to make a lot of one particular cake, and maybe not even ice it. Of course you can put chocolate icing onto this, you could put a coffee icing, and here, right, now you've got a number of cakes all ready for the oven. And just show you that with one simple recipe, you really can create any variety of cakes that you'd like. You can put dried fruit in, you can make an orange and cardamom cake, coconut, really just use your imagination. Use the ingredients you have, banana, spices, cinnamon, anything. So right, here we have a little bit of a marble cake. Here we have plain vanilla, small cake. Here we have the four of these like that are going to be a sort of small high cake. And we've got the coffee cake. So here you've got a whole variety of cakes. So we are now going to bake these cakes in the oven for, well, these little ones are going to be 10 minutes. And the larger one will be anything between 30 and 40 minutes, but probably more like 35. And these small ones will be in the region of 25 minutes at 180 degrees. Okay, so now we are looking at icing our cake. I've made a simple butter icing, a vanilla and mocha, which is a mixture of cocoa and coffee. I'm going to do this layered cake. As you can see here, I have just cut the large cake into squares, topped each square with a little bit of icing, and added a walnut, which complements the coffee very well. So to finish off the cake with an icing of your choice, you can really use many types of frostings, and we will definitely do a show on frostings at some stage. But this is simply butter, icing sugar, beaten well, vanilla put into to flavor the one, and coffee and chocolate into the other. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of the mocha as a filling. have it. And if you would like to, we can take a little rose from here, pop it on the top. The white looks really pretty. Let's give you a little vision of the rose there. And you could even put a few little petals if you so wished.